Welcome back to the Sports Den Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Hooker here, and today's episode will be my Week 6 reaction of college football. Let's get straight into it. My player of the week, Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel, he couldn't participate in the Red River Rivalry last year, but this is arguably his biggest game of the season, of his career. And he came to play, having 398 total yards, 2 touchdowns, and throwing the game-winning touchdown to seal the victory over the Longhorns in the last remaining seconds. Dillon Gabriel, you got the nod from me. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and come join the den. So, first game that we have to talk about, Texas versus Oklahoma. It's simple as this. Offense sells tickets. Defense wins you games. Offense can win you games in today's age, but at the end of the day, you need a defense. And Oklahoma had a better defense that day. But the game started out, I guess you can say, drunk. Having a block punt, having thrown an interception, fumble. It was just everything that you could think of that could go wrong as a head coach went wrong for both teams. But, I mean, to me, I enjoyed it as a fan. Had me on the edge of the seat waiting for the next mess up to happen. But, as said before, the defense prevailed at the end of the day so that the Sooners could clinch the win against Texas. And hopefully we get a part 2 in Dallas for the Big 12 championship. The next game to talk about, LSU versus Missouri. Can we start the conversation of Jayden Daniels being the best thrower in the SEC? Because each game I'm seeing Jayden Daniels put up 300, 290, 350. Because this game he had 389 total yards and 4 tuds. Can we say that? Because Malik Neighbors, he does a great job getting open. Brian Thomas Jr., who came onto the scene this year, him and Jayden Daniels have an amazing connection. Jayden Daniels might arguably be the best quarterback in the SEC. Things can't get no simpler than that. And then, on the opposing side, having Luther Burden show out in the first half, having 6 catches for over 100 yards in the first half. Luther Burden, production-wise, has to say of being the best wide receiver in the nation. Not just the SEC, but in the nation. Luther Burden, if you want to get open in the middle, he'll get open in the middle. If you want to take a deep shot, he'll get open and outrun the defender. If you want to get him out of space and let him just go to work and be the playmaker that he is, he will get you those yards. It's just something about every time I turn to Missouri, I can't wait to see what Luther Burden does each and every play. Because that offense is prolific, but LSU did just enough to skate by Missouri. And this was Missouri's chance of saying, hey, we beat this team, we beat that team. But being a national brand team like LSU would have put them over the hump where people be like, okay, guys, Missouri, they have a legitimate shot. But now, I think that national media will wind down, but I think Missouri can gain their confidence and gain that momentum back up to where we'll look at Missouri as, hey, Missouri did great this season, or Missouri is a top 20 team at the end of the season. The next game, Alabama versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M, they did everything they could. They stopped the run game for Alabama. You made Jalen Milroe become a passer. But the Jermaine Burton coming out party in the Alabama uniform was never in my bingo card this year. 9 receptions, 197 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jermaine Burton went to Alabama for that reason right there. He wanted to get the ball. He's getting the ball. And now Jermaine Burton put up those numbers to be that wide receiver one that Alabama has been needing for the past 2 years. And Burton is starting to step up. He's starting to find his rhythm again. So, shout out to Jermaine Burton for going off against Texas A&M. It was just a sight to see. Happy for the kid to transfer from Georgia, go to Alabama, start off a little struggle, and then finally find his footing in a tough system that we all know Nick Saban has, and prevailing at the end. Georgia versus Kentucky. There were a lot of things said about this Georgia team where Kentucky has a shot at beating them, Kentucky this, Kentucky that. But Georgia's response was the performance that everyone wanted to see. Especially on the defensive end. Holding Ray Davis to under 60 yards rushing. Making sure that he has to fight for every single yard. I think that what we saw from the Bulldog defense will only continue to get better. On the offensive end, Carson Beck played his best game. Throwing for 389 yards and 4 touchdowns. And the thing that he did so well was spread it out everywhere. It seemed like Ra Thomas, he was the main beneficiary for one possession. Then it was Marcus Rosemary-Jackson for one possession. And then we all know Mr. Reliable, Brock Bowers, being the main beneficiary on those possessions. And the thing that I love about Carson Beck, he just never forces it. He forced it one time and it bit him back when he threw that interception. Other than that, Carson Beck was like, okay, I was feeling it. My fault, guys. Let's start sustaining these drives and let's have some substance. He started taking what the defense gave him, and then he almost had 400 yards. I mean, we gotta love what the kid is doing. The next game is Notre Dame versus Louisville. At some point in the game, I had to realize that Notre Dame was just gassed. Because you gotta think about it. Mentally and physically, they have been fighting for the last 2 games. They had the Duke game. That they had to play hard for all 4 quarters. And then you had to think the Ohio State game where they played to the last second. It was just a lot of wear and tear, especially the way how Louisville plays with Jawar Jordan, who just runs the ball consistently. Him having over 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Louisville was locked in the whole game. Louisville knew they were well rested. They played Friday the week before, so they had about 9 days of rest. So I expected Louisville to come out with more juice and more effort than Notre Dame. But I thought Notre Dame, they'll find a way to win, but not in this instance. And now Notre Dame has their biggest test against USC this week. So we'll see what the Fighting Irish do, and we'll see the momentum that Louisville has, what they do with it, and how can they sustain it in a tough ACC conference. I have two more. 2 more games. Georgia Tech versus Miami. Mario Cristobal, your IQ is lower than a 3rd grader. Kneel the ball. You know the victory formation where the quarterback gets behind, goes up under the center, running back, and then wide receiver in the back. That's victory formation. That's all you had to do to win the football game. That's all you had to do to win the football game. That's all you literally had to do. But now, things just got much harder for you because now you have to find a way to rally your team around you, trust you again, so that you guys can find a way to get to Charlotte. I don't know. That's a tough punch to come back from because you guys had that in the bag. But on the other side for Georgia Tech, you guys are elite on the road with Brent Key as your head coach. You guys are 5-0 in the ACC with him as being your head coach. So I would like to see Tech keep doing what they're doing, but sustain it. Consistency. That's all I want to see. But you guys are building it very, very much at a rapid pace than I thought you guys were beforehand. But I love what I'm seeing from Haynes King. He's doing things tremendously well. Having that offense jumping, being a top passer in the ACC. But last but not least, USC versus Arizona. Pac-12 after dark went to 2 overtimes. And the thing is, you guys should have lost that game. 1, Arizona winning 17-0 before you guys could even put up a point. It's like, whoa. You guys had the best player in the nation, best quarterback in the nation, and Caleb Williams. Have a plethora of wide receivers between Brendan Rice, Todd Washington, Mario Williams. All these weapons. Deuce Robinson. All these weapons. And I can't fathom to think that you guys were down to an Arizona team at home. And the thing is, Caleb Williams had to come up with something to make the play work. And in my head, I'm like, why does he have to do that? Because of your head coach, Lincoln Riley. It seemed like Lincoln Riley was a little flustered seeing the scoreboard, 17-0. Well, something got to give. You gotta find something that's working, and you gotta start rocking with it. You have an elite offense, so use it to your advantage. You have about 2 to 3 guys who could get over 1,000 yards in the system. Use that to your advantage. Then another thing, USC and Ohio State's on the same tier, where you have things good on one side and the other side just too many questions for me. And so what I'm saying is this. USC are pretenders. USC, I don't care if they get in the playoffs. They're not winning the championship. Their offense can carry them for so long until they face an opponent where they're honed in on that. And I think that USC loses a game before the regular season is done with. USC is a lot of things, but a complete team is not one of them. So whenever USC becomes a complete team, then I would believe in the Trojans. But right now, I'm not a believer in them. And it's not due to Caleb Williams. It's due to Lincoln Riley and his defensive staff. Straight like that. Standing on business. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. I'm your host, Jonathan Hooker. See you guys on the next one. Peace.